Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley,
I'm Connor Coggins.
and today we're talking about our rejoining,
Hmm.
the return of Navarre to the Federation.
Well, there was touch and go there. It was touch and go, Stuart. Wasn't easy.
What's Navarre? Some might be asking. Well, that's Vulcan. It got renamed. I don't know if you know, but
It's kind of Vulcan plus Romulus in a sandwich of unified proto-Vulcan Romulan hybridness. They're back, baby.
they are. They are back in the Federation.
So, what do you think of how they presented this? Because in theory, this is one of those. In JJ they destroyed Vulcan. Here they left and rejoined.
And also renamed it so it's not Vulcan. So they did kind of destroy Vulcan in a way. No, it makes sense that they'd want to bring Navarre back in to the Federation, especially this Foundation that's struggling a bit. And like the president said, all eyes is on them right now to see what they're doing. I love that there's the reference of the Federation was so homogenized that no single planet got attention at a certain point. And that's one of the reasons that they don't trust the Federation anymore, because near the end there, the Federation didn't focus on any particular planet per se and give them what they needed. It just got too big, So I do love that framework was kind of laid, so we kind of know what the trust issues were.
And so they felt the lack of meaningful inclusion, and then everyone works to try and find new methods of travel, and then Federation says, "Oh, well, you've got a one that might solve the problem with NV16, whatever it was called, NV6," and they're like, peace out, y'all. We knew that was going to happen. It was inevitable. Well, Trek fans hoped it was inevitable. They can curveball us for sure, like destroying Vulcan Navarre. It's like, what? But we just found it. But no, it was nice, and the president's a really good character, doing very well. Balances the Vulcaniness with the politics. Not much Romulan-ness to her, but there wouldn't necessarily be any. But she even said multiple times the Vulcan purists. So clearly there are still factions on their planet where, and I think she says, their votes are what lets me have a majority, basically. So like I need to stay as Vulcan-y. It was definitely a look into the world of politics we wouldn't necessarily think about in this episode.
I'm glad they explained that, though, the Vulcanized slit, and they needed this exit clause as part of their deal, which kind of threw the Federation for a bit of a loop, because that would set a precedent, and then everybody would want that, and then it would show a weaker Federation, and I thought that was all very well done. There's got to be diplomatic channels, though, if you want to leave the Federation that.
They had to make an A story with the political stuff, and it was good to see the inner workings of how this all goes, especially after 100 years of separation, and because they said that we were basically fast tracking this anyway. This was going so well, and then this other anomaly gets found, reactivates people's lingering fear of the unknown, which destroyed tens of trillions of lives, and has these Vulcans are pre-burn people because they live that long, but not a ton. I mean, they were young. They saw that they lived through the breaking down society and whatever. And so that changed how they. So literally the last meeting, it's like, oh, we've got this addendum, which I love. The presidents talked to each other and warned, because they both wanted to happen desperately. And Burnham's line about surviving is not flourishing, and that like shuts up the room, which is a lovely little moment of, I mean, yeah, you can live, but can you do really well? But I found it just interesting that that's the sticking point. As the Federation president says, we're not going to hold anyone in the Federation, so you can leave. So I'm wondering then, what is the criteria for leaving then? If a specific clause to leave without strings attached, what strings are there then normally if you have to leave? Because obviously most people left over.
It's just a longer process. Longer process would be involved. The exit clause is like, as soon as you do something we don't agree with, we're out. Where instead of going through diplomatic channels and getting approvals and things like that.
I was wondering, is there sanctions? Is there owed something? Otherwise, logically, it's just like a red button rather than a phone call.
That was easy button, yeah. We're out. That was easy. Instead of all the paperwork and red tape they would have to go through otherwise. So
I was just wondering if there's other political stuff might have been implied there. And I didn't get the sense it was hard to leave the Federation last time. Like they didn't. They weren't penalised for doing it. It would have been interesting if they were. But I found especially that it's an interesting parallel to the European-England relationship stuff, where we left by a very small majority, tiny majority, and then if we were to rejoin at any point, there's some logic to wanting an out clause because of the damage a potential organization can do. And when you have, so many member worlds or member countries, well, no one is special. That's the whole point. It's a unified thing. I guess that's what a lot of my population thought. Well, but also you can't justify being special in a world where you're meant to be a unified thing. So it's kind of a, so it's interesting how they kind of, Picard was meant to be anti-Brexit. Patrick hates Brexit, and so not that it came across in Picard season 1 at all. It was almost as if they were supporting Brexit in this. Like, well, yeah, but everyone's got to have their own specialty, and I thought was really interesting. Just like tone is like, this is deliberate, or is this just very sci-fi political? I don't know. I was intrigued by it.
I don't know. I just assumed that it was lack of paperwork and bullshit to get out with the exit clause. So,
well, I think also it's the way they framed it was it's the Vulcan Vulcan logic high people who very clinical, very logical. Their logic dictates if we want out, we want out. And if we want out, they don't give us out, there's a problem there. So we want to have a way of just leaving with zero, there's no grey in that, because logic demands a yes or a no. They wanted a yes or a no option.
The Navarre president did say the Federation has to be held accountable for its decisions. And she says something about Starfleet also getting intertwined and all that. But she was talking about the DMA at the time, and then said the Federation needs to be held accountable. It's like, why? They didn't cause the DMA. That part confused me a little bit. I've only seen it once. I need to go back and re-listen to it.
Yeah, I can't say I necessarily registered that as a thing to talk about.
But it was just an interesting line that she said that the Federation needs to be held accountable for any actions it takes. Which, yes, of course. That's, it's just the way things should work.
It's what they've done for 1,000 years.
Yeah. I'm not good with politics generally.
No, we stay away. We stay away.
I don't understand them. I try not to talk about it too much because I just don't understand it. I don't get too involved, so it's hard for me to kind of talk about it. Yeah, and I'm not huge on what's going on with Brexit and stuff like you are. So
just because I live here, not into politics either. But it was really interesting, and the fact that it was like I think it was a logical thing to ask for, but I wonder if they also considered, because it does undermine the Federation so drastically, if you can just do that. So do they think that the Vulcans at that point then thinking, well, they're logical, they're never going to say yes, and therefore, because if you give an ultimatum in any situation where they won't say yes, are you at fault for them saying no? Well, yeah, because you put an ultimatum that they won't say yes to. You knew that in advance.
Well,
but you're
it's a way of saying it's a way of saying we don't want to join, but it's your decision, and since you're not going to agree to it, you said no, which makes us kind of the victim. Like, oh, you didn't let us in. It's an easy way out for people to give somebody an ultimatum that they know what the answer is going to be. So it's like, we don't want to be a part of this, but we want to pretend like we're trying. So
which they were until the very last, literally the last minute. But that seems odd to me. But that's only one segment of the Navarrian population, and that was made clear. They've got different subsects. But then why would having another solution? Maybe that was just a case of, I know this will. If we're assuming then those Vulcans didn't want it, and that was the point of the ultimatum. It was a no-win. The third-party solution was the win, but is it the Navarran president said, okay, I can't piss off my group by saying no to them, but I can piss off everybody by not doing anyone's plan, but I'm not better to piss off everybody than piss off the single group. But it doesn't feel like those would be very amended by the solution, those Vulcans.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel like the Vulcan isolationists are the large majority.
Or at least 51%, at least like a big stake, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, the Vulcan isolationist guy was the closest to the Federation president at the table. The Romulan was at the end. We didn't hear much of the Romulan side of things.
I desperately thought we needed.
Which I don't know how long they've been back with the Vulcans, but
I think it was 300 years. 300 years.
That's not that long then as far as their lifespans go. So I was going to say maybe they're more homogenized than we think, but I don't think they are at that point. If it's only been like 300 years, they live to be like 200 plus.
Yeah, it's one generation.
Yeah.
2 generations.
So, yeah, it's still
two lifespans, not generations, but 2 lifespans.
Yeah, and we did see some divide with the Romulans in the last, where we got introduced to Navarre.
Which was great.
The Romulans were causing a bit of a huff.
That's why I'm surprised they weren't included here, because it kind of felt like it would have been great, because the last time the Romulans were super pro share the tech, which was really fun. So it would have been nice if they'd. It would have totally changed the calmness of the scene. I get that. I get that. But I think they should have had a Romulan guy maybe pull her away and say the Romulans fully support this, and have Romulans say we want to join the Federation like fully. And it's like, this is weird, but nice. That would have been a nice little moment. Like, do you have the support of all of us? And she's like, yes, but the Vulcans say no. And it's like that. Oh, I could.
Well, it would have been an interesting talking point for Burnham, because she could have said, well, I think she does allude to this at one point. She's like, the Romulans. She could have said the Romulans, who have been one of the Federation's biggest enemies for so long, are now wanting to get in, and you're blocking that by using the isolationist, majority. That would have been an interesting discussion point and could have been really interesting. So yes, I think adding that perspective into the discussions would have been great. But we got what we got. So
these are more just fun discussions rather than, bad or just interesting to sort of have more side conversations of it.
Yeah, we just got to point out that we're not big on politics. So if anybody's more skilled at politics and can explain the situation better, there's a comment section down below. So please go comment, and also like the video and subscribe to the channel. And join us for a live where we might be talking about this as well. You can put your insight in. Let us know your thoughts. If you're a political expert, what's an exit clause consist of compared to just a regular we want to leave the Federation? Let us know.
Yeah. And if you want to support what we do here, and the non-political, just talking about Star Trek and tech and Trek and people and etc., then you can, by super chatting during those lives, supporting us via Patreon, PayPal, or joining the channel on YouTube, or just coming in and joining us for other videos, other shows, other lives, and say hey.
Alright, so until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Collins, and we agree! Stuart, we agree!
We do. And you guys should join Trekyards. Hit the subscribe button. I'm just saying, nothing's stopping you. There's always an exit clause. You can just go unsubscribe. It's fine. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.